Hello, Okras. Hello, hello. Okay, we're gonna start in a few minutes. We're gonna be pretty quick, I think. Okay, hello, Penguin. Be right back. Hello, everybody. Ah, okay. Let's see what's the news on Hacker News. Coursera to combine with Udemy. Okay. Is Mozilla trying hard to kill itself? In an interview with The Verge, the new Mozilla CEO, something, in my honest opinion, hints at that Async ad blockers is something that, at the very least, was on the table in some form at some point. From the article, he says that he could begin to block ad blockers in Firefox and estimates that that would bring in another 150 million. But he doesn't want to do that. It feels off mission. Uh, Hawker News page 2? Let's fucking go. I'm gonna check that out next. Thank you for letting me know on your side. So, what's the plan for today? Client auto reconnect in D2. Um, I have to say, actually, what do I even have to say? Mozilla sucks. I've been saying this for a while. I mean, I think we're even past the point of told you so. At this point, I don't even have anything to say to people that still like Mozilla. Like, it's not even a matter of like, oh no, how could you? It's like we're past all of this. I don't know. It's like people that believe in some kind of extremist political ideology where it's like, I don't know, they just like that idea, and so they're stuck there, and they don't feel like ever reevaluating that. So out there's people who just think that Firefox is good and Mozilla is a company that you should support. Period. And they do so. Um, you know, what's the word? uncritically. And I can't even say good for them because it's not good for them. It's like it's not even one of those situations where you disagree. Somebody actively likes something that you believe is detrimental, but whatever. At least they get an enjoyment out of it. You could even argue. It's up to debate, but you can even argue. Somebody's an alcoholic. You don't believe that's good for them, but you know what? Fuck it. They want the alcohol. At least they get the alcohol. Good for them. That's not even that case. Like, it's even worse. God damn it, man. Anyway, let's go check out Flow. Also, check this out. I was typing here in my thing of the day. I still use Helix here. I don't know why. I'm just got used to it. And look at what happens to the syntax highlighting as I type. Do you see? It's not even um deterministic. It's now bold again. Now it's italic. Now it's not. It's like it's bold on space and then one keystroke, two keystrokes, backspace. What is going on here? The mysteries of Markdown. Hello? We're having trouble serving your request. Yep, can see that. Hard refresh. Boom. US threatens EU digital services market access. Hmm. There we go. Flow. Oh, man. Come on, Hacker News. Try harder. Fuck. Refresh. Man, you can't trust anything. The grammar is likely ambiguous. Yeah, that might be it. But I think that usually, I think Three-Seater tells you when your grammar is ambiguous, and it forces you to offer prioritization. Sorry, to specify prioritization of rules. I'm sorry, Neurosite. You've been sabotaged. Big Browser doesn't want people to know about Flow. Huh. It's just, I mean, you know what? You know what would make this better? I think hammering Hacker News even harder. I've been clicking every few seconds. Oh, there we go. It worked now. You know what? You see? That here it pays off. Spamming hosts with requests when they're like under load actually helps you get what you want anyway. Remember, rule for life. I have rarely seen a problem and thought to myself, I need multiple cursors. Well, then, sir, you are a fool because multiple cursors are delightful. And don't tell me about. So, is this a macro lover? Is this somebody? Is there then going to be macros are amazing? Just use those. I admit it's useful data wrangling, but programming. What? What are people using it for? I would love to see some real world usage. What? What? I'm curious too. I find it occasionally a useful feature. What? What? I use multi-cursor editing daily. Yeah. NeoVim with a few extensions installed by default. What other features does it have? What are these comments? I mean, you know what? Okay, jokes aside, I was joking. This is a legitimately reasonable question. If you're somebody who has never used multi-cursors, then sure, you have questions about those. Reasonable. Um, the, this I don't understand. NeoBeam with a few extensions. Okay, this has quickly become my favorite TUI text editor, even though it seemed like yet another editor when I first came across it. As someone who doesn't like model options, I use Nano, Micro, and OX. Oh, I never used OX. I did use Micro. I like Micro. For a while, it was my main editor. But Flow is a much nicer product than those three. If you like Helix, it can. If you like Helix, it can also just. It can also just as the model editing and keybinds from it as well. Okay, so like if you like Helix, you can use Flow with Helix keybinds. Yes. Computers are made to drive us insane, and doing the same thing over and over again does eventually get different results, I guess. Do you know it's written in Zig? I should point that out, right? That it's blazingly fast because it's written in Zig. Upvote, although God knows if this upvote request will. Oh, I'm not even logged in. Never mind. Can't upload. In any case, it's like Hacker News is falling apart. When this happens, there's only one solution. You go to lobsters. Python passkeys still have problems. Overcommit memory equals 2 is always the right setting. What? You know, this overcommit stuff, it's almost as if, hear me out. I have this weird idea. What if you could somehow have overcommit specifiable per process? Obviously, there is a cost in having heterogeneous processes, like some that allow overcommit, some that don't, because obviously the ones that don't, they eat memory that they basically reduce the amount of elasticity that you would have in a system where everything allows overcommit. But imagine this possibility. No, I mean, jokes aside, I actually find it surprising that you can't have this as a per process setting. It's really weird to me. Overcommit memory equals 2 is always the right setting for servers. Oh, wait a second. Okay, now we're starting to walk it back. Previously, it was just the right setting. Now it's the right setting for servers. Okay, so we're starting to narrow it down. So let's see, the Linux kernel has a feature where you can tune the behavior of memory allocations, the VM overcommit memory sysctl. When overcommit is enabled, sadly, this is the default, the kernel will typically return a mapping when brk or a map is called to increase the program heap size, regardless of whether or not the memory is available. Sounds right. Not really. While overcommit is convenient for application developers, I guess, it fundamentally changes the contract of memory allocation. A successful allocation no longer represents an atomic acquisition of a real resource. Instead, the return map is serves as a deferred promise, which will only be fulfilled by the page fault handler if and when the memory is first accessed. This is an important distinction, as it means overcommit effectively replaces a fail-fast transitional allocation model with a best effort one where failures are only caught after the fact rather than at the point of allocation. And another kind of critical problem with this system, and you could argue even is a much bigger problem, because what has been presented here is a problem, because you think you succeeded, but then it turns out you didn't succeed, and you discover that only later on. But most importantly, you there is no good way of assigning the blame, meaning um you run out of memory, and then there's another program that wants to allocate memory, maybe a program that has never allocated any memory and now wants just one tiny page, just 4 kilobytes of memory. It never asked you for anything, just that one time, 4 kilobytes, nothing more. But you run out because Node.js, cryptominer.js is eating all the memory, and now you have to crash that process, which turned out to be PID1. I don't know. But the point is, actually, I hope that the OS does exclude explicitly PID1 from the list of potential candidates. Actually, no, it can't, because if that thing allocates and tries to read memory, then it just fails right away. There's just no way. So here's the problem. The problem is that things get killed at random. That's not good. That's really not good. So to understand how the deferral works in practice, let's consider what happens when a program calls malloc to get a new memory allocation. At a high level, the allocator calls brk or mmap to request additional virtual address space from the kernel, which is represented by virtual memory area objects, also known as VMAs. On a system where overcommit is disabled, the kernel ensures that enough baking memory is available to satisfy the request before allowing the allocation to succeed. In contrast, when overcommit is enabled, the kernel simply allocates a VMA object without guaranteeing that baking memory is available. The mapping succeeds immediately, even though it is not known whether the request can ultimately be satisfied. The decoupling of success from baking memory availability makes allocation failures impossible to handle correctly. Yeah, okay. Dishonorable mention Redis. Okay, I'm gonna read this. Andrew also has complaints about Redis. Well, let's see if it's the same complaint that Andrew has. Although I feel like I'm a Redis apologist in that sense. We'll see. We'll see. So when allocations failure locality is important for debugging. When allocations fail fast, they are dramatically easier to debug, as the failure is synchronous with the request. When a program crashes due to an allocation failure, the entire context of that allocation is preserved. The requested allocation size, the subsystem making the allocation, and the underlying operation that required it are already known. With overcommit, its locality is lost by design. Allocations appear to succeed, and the program proceeds under the assumption that the memory is available. When the allocation is eventually accessed, the kernel typically responds by invoking the killer and terminating the process outright, which is so funny because if you think about it, the killer does weigh by length of time the program has been running. So hopefully PID1 is near the bottom. I see. But so how does this work then? Does the killer then sleep a process for which it doesn't have memory for a while? Does it have like I don't know, like a timeout before actually killing the process? Because what happens is that you try to access memory, you get a page fault. The page fault discovers that there's actually the books were cooked, and there's no memory in the bank to fulfill to pay the debt, basically. And so at that point, your program just cannot run. Like, you can't move forward by a single instruction until this has been resolved. So if what you're saying makes sense, like for this to make sense, it means that the killer needs to, at a point in time, have the option of killing, one of two processes, which means that it needs to also sleep a process before murdering it. And now I'm curious to know what is a good time. If that is the case, then what is the timeout before murdering a process. I'm trying to think how I would design this, because um, you can see, right, how in theory sleeping processes gives you the flexibility of choosing which one to kill. Um, although I don't know how good of a decision making can the killer make, but can just read the source code. Let's see the source code. Simple selection loop. We choose the process with the highest number of points. In case scan was aborted, set to -1. Scan tasks. For each process, evaluate task. Select bad process. Function above. Okay. Evaluate task. Uh-huh. Oh, there are unkillable tasks. Okay, so the idea is this then. The idea is memory. Okay, so memory is not available right now. Oh, okay, I get it. Memory is not available right now. We are trying to resolve a page fault. So what we do is not unconditionally kill the application that is asking for that memory, but we actually consider killing other applications in the meantime. I see. So maybe we kill an application that right now is not requesting memory, but I mean, the fact that it is running means that it is occupying memory. So whichever application we kill, we will get some memory back, which will hopefully, this smells like a pyramid scheme, if you ask me, by the way. P may not have freeable memory in node mask. This task already has access to memory reserves and is being killed. Don't allow any other task to have access to the reserves unless the task has blah, blah, blah. If a task is allocating a lot of memory and has been marked to be killed first, if it triggers an then select it. Task origin. Oh, as in if this task, like if the current task is in that case, then beautiful labels. Right, this is funny. Can you imagine society working like this? It's like, look, the business next to you has run out of money, so they have a debt now, and they don't know where to get the money. So, you being the store right next to it, you have some money. So comes the governmental agency, the killer governmental agency, and they just take your money so that the other business can keep running. Funny enough, that's exactly what you do with big companies. Out of money killer, that is so good. Holy shit. You're right. Well, but that's what already happens with big companies that are too big to fail, right? They get bailouts. What's a bailout? A bailout is literally the government taking money that would rightfully belong to other people and using it to to fill out VMAs that it couldn't. Well, you get the idea. Okay, these honorable mention Redis. So why am I writing about this anyway? The cost of overcommit isn't just technical, but also represents bad engineering culture, shifting responsibility for correctness away from application developers and onto the kernel. As an example, when you start Redis with overcommit disabled, it prints a scary warning that you should re-enable it. No, code that requires overcommit to function correctly is failing to handle memory allocation errors correctly. The answer is not to print a warning that overcommit is disabled, but rather to surface low memory conditions explicitly so the system administrator can understand and resolve them. Let's see, what does the message say? Warning, memory commit must be enabled. Without it, a background save or application may fail under low memory condition. Being disabled, it can also cause failures without low memory conditions. See this issue. To fix this issue, add overcommit memory equals 1, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I think the case with Redis is, so the point with Redis, this which is right now talking about a background save, is that when Redis wants to, when you want to save a snapshot of the database, what happens is that Redis forks and it leverages the copy on write semantics of forking, where the forked process is the one that starts saving stuff on disk, and then so that it can make a consistent copy. And then as the main server process keeps running, as it writes data, it copies those pages, because that's how forking and copy on write works in POSIX systems. So it's basically leveraging that system. But it is true that if you have a Redis instance and you want to make it use more than half the available memory, then without overcommit, you are very much more likely to get a failure without it. With overcommit, you will be able to make it work, but it is true that if you do need overcommit, then at the same time, there is a non-zero chance that you are basically you are receiving so many updates, so many changes that come to the main Redis process, that every single page that the other process is trying to save on disk has to be duplicated, and thus you genuinely run out of memory. So the correct solution would be to run Redis, like the 100% safe solution would be cap Redis to half the available system memory. That way you know it is guaranteed that no matter what, saving will succeed. Hello, Licious. But then it is true that then you will have a lot of memory that will sit there unused. So which one do you choose? Yeah. And to be fair, this is a problem that, I don't know, maybe you could change the shape of the solution somewhat and maybe get better characteristics if you were not to use copy on write and forking, but you were to do that explicitly, for example, maybe. But it is also true that, like, if you want your server to be able to write on disk a consistent snapshot of its state and at the same time keep accepting new writes, then you necessarily must have some system like this in place, where you either have half of the available memory always available for you to support snapshotting on disk, or you risk it. So like it has to be one or the other. Like I don't think there is a third option. That's how you have to do it. if you want to save a consistent snapshot on disk. If you want to give up consistency, then like if you don't assume that, you know, if you don't care about multi-key consistency, so if you consider every key to be not necessarily consistent with one another, and that's fine, then sure, you can give this up and like you can use a different system. If you write on disk doing write ahead, like you have a write ahead log, that does not require snapshotting everything, but huh. That is actually an interesting question because you could, in theory, you keep writing a log on disk and then you have a separate process that collapses that does log compaction, and it can compact the log against the log itself, and it can also alternatively incorporate changes from the log into a snapshot on disk. Like basically you run the logs, like changes from the log directly on the on disk file, which normally wouldn't require you to have a ton of memory usage to do that if you want. There are other options. You can, for example, use a map to allow the kernel to write the pages to disk if memory runs low. That is not an option for Redis. I mean, you can do it, and I think that the Redis can't. Well, let me see. Can no, because that depends on how Redis uses a map, I guess. But that's not an option for Redis because, again, we're talking about a Redis under load, right? So if you don't have a Redis instance that is under load, this whole discussion doesn't matter because it's just gonna work for you, and you're not even gonna have to worry about it whatsoever. But let's assume that your Redis it's like hardcore under load. In that case, you cannot afford to move pages to disk. If you mean moving to disk pages of the old copy, maybe, because then you. So what you're saying is you move to disk pages like pre-copy. Sorry. So instead of okay, I don't even know. By the way, these are things that I haven't used myself, so I don't know 100% for sure if what I'm describing makes sense. But if you say you fork, you do a copy on write. So now you have two copies of the same pages, which are, well, originally two virtual copies, but it's the same pages behind the scenes. So what you're saying is you flush the copies the original ones that should basically be saved on disk, well, serialized on disk, because what you end up doing is serializing those pages on disk. Then you say you flush those to disk, then you slow down the snapshotting process, but you're not hurting the live part. So maybe that's not a bad idea. Actually, you know what? I'm not even sure if Redis does not do that. I know that Redis does not use the disk for serving the live dataset. It used to have support for that. Like I think it was like just using swap, but that was removed because swap would cause performance. It would change the performance behavior of Redis, and for people that were using it seriously, it would just be a real problem. The 50% max memory usage is anyway a really good guideline. I would recommend never running a high load system at more than 50% memory usage. There are so many things that can get out of whack under load. Agreed 100%. I would agree. Also, in general, memory doesn't cost much. Maybe lately it costs more, but yeah, you can do that. And I don't know. Whatever. Oh, whoops. So, anything interesting in the news? Hacker news down for anyone else? Oh no. Story was removed by moderator. Logged out visitors only see story was removed because we don't want to give trolls a convenient public monument to content that was so bad or bizarre. We removed it. Okay. GH actions log file. Generate and verify log files for GitHub actions. What? Safer container ecosystem with Docker. Free Docker hardened images. Future of JetBrains fleet. Chris. Cross-compile Janet projects with Zig. Oh. Chris is a tool for cross-compiling Janet projects for multiple platforms using Zig. Chris subcommand. Clean Janet. Q. Quick bean. Cross-compile a standalone executable. Chris requires GNU make and Zig to be installed and available in your path. Cross compile for different target platforms. Janet is a Lisp, right? Am I misremembering? Is a functional and imperative programming language. It is a Lisp. Okay. Fleet is dead. Rise to yet another AI editor. Oh, Fleet was an editor? Huh. How was the move over to Flow, by the way? I still haven't gotten around actually giving Flow a fair shot yet because I can't program in Rust without LSP. Is it because are you like leveraging specific LSP features? Because LSP integration works in Flow. Is the Rust LSP problematic with Flow? Did Neurosite sabotage the Rust LSP in Flow? Is that what's happening? Is that what we're doing? So this is how it is, huh? This is what the Z community is doing? I've been warned about this. I knew that you guys were up to something. Autocomplete, you can do autocomplete. It's control dot. Maybe let me see if I can give you a better autocomplete. Control dot. Maybe let's do it like this. SED dot control dot. Check this out. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Neurosite, please, for the love of God, just make sure of one thing. Inline autocomplete, really cool. Just make sure that it doesn't trigger, like that it doesn't commit a random text in your document as you're moving around with arrows, and that if it opens, because there's some forms of autocomplete where they immediately try to put something in your buffer, and I fucking hate that. And if you show that as a drop-down menu, which is amazing and really cool, and I love it, please make it so that it doesn't eat your arrow movement, so that like you risk that the menu opens at random because the LSP decided it's a good idea to open it, and then it starts eating my movement keystrokes. I so hate that. Yeah, it's that's why I have autocomplete disabled. I used to like autocomplete. I used to rely on autocomplete heavily, and Helix ruined it for me. They have a horrible implementation of it. And for the longest time, you couldn't, like, you can rebind everything except that goddamn menu where where it eats your keybinds, like your keystrokes, and you just cannot turn it off. So yeah. Okay, so this is cool. Oh, this wasn't even, this is so funny. This was tagged Lisp, but it wasn't tagged Zig on Lobsters. Which, that's cool because, yeah, it's cool, I think. it's somebody that made this for their Lisp language, and the Zig part is not even that important. Cool. Anyway, let me put on some music for myself. Okay. I think we're getting close to, I think we're ready to start. Let's see. There are literally 0 keybinds in Flow. They can't be customized, so there is that too. Yo. By the way, on your side, do you have a long-term goal to get Flow in a GUI? There is a Windows GUI. Okay. So what is our goal for today? Our goal for today is we're continuing basically from where we left off yesterday, which is CryptoCode suggested we implement auto reconnect in the D2 client, for which we have currently no support. We can't, like, if connection drops in the client just does not know what to do. As a reminder, yesterday we implemented persistence of chat messages. So we write them when we receive them, we load them at start, we send them to the client at start, which, by the way, made us now change how we do the protocol messaging in a way that, in my opinion, is not half bad. I think it's actually pretty decent. So basically, again, this is still prototype, so it's not this whole thing is not fully fleshed out yet, but I think the beginnings of something smart are present. The idea is the latest messages are so cache of latest messages we received, so that we can quickly sync new clients without having to hit the database every time. As part of this change, by the way, we're using an SDD deque, which is cool. And as part of this change, we also changed the protocol where the server on sync, so host sync used to work this way. It would send you information about the current host. The current host contains a bunch of properties, and it contains a list of chats. And a chat, I should say, it's like a chat channel. And a chat channel used to have inside of its state also a list of messages. So every channel had its own messages, and we would serialize those messages split by channel. And now we moved these list of messages per channel to be client only state. So the server doesn't store state that way anymore. The server, so the client will have a list of messages per each channel, but the server doesn't. But by the way, these types, everything under D2 is shared between server and client with personalizations, where here we have basically client is a client only type. The server has this field mapped to an empty struct. So that's how we make adjustments for when server and client wants to diverge in representation. And usually those fields like client only, server only, those are not serialized. Those are not sent over the network. So what happens now is that host sync just sends all the messages in bulk. In the future, this will have to be a little bit more complicated because not every user is able to see every message. There will be a permission system where, this is not final, but for now, this is pretty decent, I think. And what's nice is that the server has to do minimal work because we literally just dump out all these messages that we have to the client, and then it's up to the client to deal with them. There's still a lot more stuff that needs to be fixed in that regard, but bit by bit, we are getting there. So what are we working on right now? Right now, it's the ability to reconnect when we lose connection to the server. So the idea is, right now we are connected to the server and we have a default chat channel and a default voice channel. We now need to have, again, not the final version, but we need to start prototyping what it means to lose connection to a server. So we need to show that we lost connection to the server, and in the future, the way that things behave needs to be aware of this situation. For example, if you try to send something and the state of the server has changed to disconnected, we need to make that show. So we need, for example, to disable the send button. Maybe that's not all of it. Maybe I don't remember exactly how everything works. Maybe you will still be able to press the button, and then we will be able to catch that this state has transitioned while the message is being sent. I'm not sure. It might be that that's the case. It might not. But either way, we need to make sure that all these things are accounted for, right? Obviously. So, banner and a spinning circle. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, maybe a banner up top that says disconnected. That sounds decent as a start. So, or most importantly, more than just disconnected, maybe we can show something that like a banner that shows also if we are making progress. Like it should even show if we are synchronizing. Like imagine that you turn on your computer, like more than just having lost connection, maybe you're just synchronizing. Yeah, okay, so let's do the banner at top stuff. But before we can do this, wait a second, because before we can do this, we need to structure our code so that if our connection is lost, we have a loop that can recover. I left this yesterday, this half-baked code, where I wished I would be able to do something, but it is currently not possible. Although, you know what? Actually, I'm going to keep this here because I think this can actually be our starting point. So my idea is this. We need to basically collapse run host connect fallible and run host connect into host manager. Although now that I think about it, I think this has to be done the other way around. Like, instead of collapsing the other things into this one, this needs to collapse into that one. So let's do it that way. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to rename this to host manager, to run host manager. And this one to run host manager volleyball. So this is the manager function. And the idea is that we actually do this in a while true. On return, this function must have progressed FCS to a terminal state. God damn it. There's also the problem that we want to have the concept of concluding these things. The only alternative that I can think of is to like an easy alternative would be to somehow restart the process from like keep it structured as is right now, but start it from scratch again. The problem is, man, this is so wasteful because we would be killing coroutines and recreating them just for no reason. I think it's fine to let these two coroutines die and recreate them, but man, recreating the host or the host connection, I should say, not the host, but the host connection, that does not seem a good idea. Also, why is this heap allocated? This does not need to be heap allocated because this could very well live on this stack. We need to restructure this code. It is going to be a giant pain in the butt because this logic is already convoluted as is. but this is necessary. Here's what makes this convoluted. This logic also embodies right now, implements the first connections stuff, where you are trying to connect for the first time. Basically, you are trying to add the server. And so that has a lot of overlap with just trying to connect normally. So that's why I collapsed these two things, because they were like very big copy pastes of one another, like very big. Like I don't do that normally. Normally, I'm happy to have copy pasted code. And I'm fine with some duplication until like I'm convinced that everything needs like that you can collapse it. But this one has so much stuff in common that it's just a very bad idea, in my opinion, to keep them separate. So I collapse them very quickly, and you can see this is the case where we're trying to join. This is the case when we're trying to connect normally. So so if this is the host manager, here's how we do it. This needs to have a while true, but it's not exactly a while true. This is a while mode is dot connect. No, because that wouldn't do the other one. Never mind. This is a while true. This is a bona fide while true. Okay. With the idea being that we will reattempt calling run host manager fallible on failure. That probably means that we should pull this up. I mean, initialization of these things. Yeah, I think we will need to pull this up. So we parse the address already validated. Host connection. We make a host connection. Are there buffers that we define above it? No. So, okay. So we make the host connection. We init the queue. We init reader state. We init based on... wait, this is based on what? This is based on what? HCTCP stream close. So we are expecting... oh, here we're doing the connection. Okay. Okay, so I think we want to do this. We want in the while loop to do this initialization. We want, so every time we loop, we want to reset the message queue for sure. We want to reset the reader. We want to reset the writer. And we want to close the string connection. Well, maybe, but we also want to create a new. So we want to do this. We want to do hc.tcp. So I guess these also we want to move down here as part of the initialization. Okay. So here we connect, which I guess means that we can do this. And this should not be a big problem because this cannot error out. So it's never bad to do this. I guess these interfaces we don't need to do in here. Let me think about it for a second. Question. When the server terminates, does the client not need to recreate the full connection since the server needs to assign a new FD for that client? Yeah, it does need to recreate the full connection, and in fact, that's what I'm working on. Like, I'm guessing you made this comment back when I previously when I had this above, but it's just because I'm slowly porting stuff over and reasoning about it. But definitely, we need to recreate a new connection when this stuff happens. So here's another problem. Right now, we're doing this stuff which uses try and defer, which I think in this case could be a defer. And that means that this cannot be a try and has to be a catch, do something. Well, we're gonna need to do something about this error. Okay, so far so good. So far this is not bad. This calls run host manager fallible. Run host manager fallible will try to authenticate, and then this starts the actual host manager, which is now us. Which now is us. Which means that this manager future has to be assigned sooner. It cannot be assigned now. Okay, so transforming this code is not that bad. I think we might be able to pull it off without going insane, hopefully. I expected worse. So what happens if we fail to connect? Now we need to worry about basically all possible failures, right? This could be a catch continue. I guess it depends on the error, because some errors are just something that you cannot retry. Some other errors are retryable. So we need to distinguish between retryable errors and non-retryable errors. Non-retryable errors need to produce a... Well, they basically need to... I think we need to have this coroutine terminate if that happens. If that happens, we need that to terminate. And yeah. And there's also the problem where join and connect. Shit. Join and connect. Yeah, we need those two workflows to like converge. That's gonna be problematic. Okay. For now, let's assume that all connection errors are temporary. So if that is the case, then this can really well be a catch continue. If we assume that all errors are temporary, they won't be. But for now, this can be a catch continue, which means that we need a like some kind of sleeping that we do every time we reloop. And actually, that is something that maybe should consider us turning this into a permanent thing, maybe. That's why I was thinking of putting it here. We could either put it there, we could put it inside a defer, But if we put it inside a defer, then we cannot return from it. We could do like this. In any case, we need to keep track of counts. So retry count starts at 0. And here we can do if retry count greater than 0, then we do something. And we could straight up do this. So like a simple way of doing this would be some kind of sleep in here, right? Again, I'm still prototyping, like try IO, or we can't try IO.sleep from seconds, sleep for 2 seconds, real time, catch continue. Actually, that is not a catch continue. That is a catch return, because if these errors out, we are being canceled. So we return. So it's a catch return. Then what else do we wanna do in here? So we go in here, we try to authenticate. I think we want to move WNR down here. And we want more than identity name and password, we want HC. We do want username and password, but they exist in there. Yeah. This could almost be a method inside of host connection at this point. Okay. Well, we can do it this way. Const username equals HC username. Const password equals HC.password. There we go. And same with identity. Okay, we have that. So these all seems to work. Now the problem is this guy. Okay, let's ignore for a moment the fact that we need to set this field. So let's imagine that we don't have to. Then we would run the host manager at this point. And then on success, we would notify core that we connected successfully. Now the idea is that we don't do that, and instead we notify core about this, that everything went well, and then we immediately just do this. Or actually, we just change it slightly. Wait. We do it like this. We start a receive future, we start a send future, and then we select, but instead of selecting right away, we notify core that everything went well, and then we select. Then we don't have to do this anymore. We don't have to do this anymore. Then this doesn't have to exist. Okay, what is the problem remaining? ID. Oh, that's host ID. What's the next problem? Run host connect. Run host manager. First connect group. Huh. Okay, what's the next problem? Expected type, blah, 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 found IONet stream. Right. No, stream. Error set is discarded. No. Okay, for now we don't capture it. Then we do nothing about it. And this really cannot. Okay, you know what? We need to prototype this already because we definitely want to do this. Error dot cancelled must be a return. That is necessary. We can do continue on everything else. We can be optimistic about any other error. I mean, wrongly optimistic, but it's fine for prototyping. But we know the cancel has to make us return. Expected two arguments found for there. HC, actually ampersand HC. Next question. Error concurrency unavailable. Expected type blah blah blah. So that means that this is not a possible error. This is not possible error. This is not possible error. This is indeed a possible error because we are doing this. Oh, but we're catching. We're doing catch return. Oh, previously we were doing catch return because we were in a thing that couldn't do anything else about it. Yeah, so about that, this can be a try now. This can indeed be a try. Oh my god. Okay. Except so there's no system resources. Okay. No process FD quota exceeded. Oh no, you know what happened? It's my stupid catch continue. My catch continue made it so that we do not. No, wait, this is here. This is fine. Wait, what the heck? Oh, right. This guy doesn't do this anymore. Okay, these errors. Some of these errors are now here because the connection is up there. Okay, so I'll comment them out. It's fine. Any more? Timeout is not possible, apparently. Connection reset by peer, not possible. Really? Wood block, not possible. Okay. Access denied, not possible. Unexpected. Okay, okay, bro. Wait, I think I'm starting to understand what's going on. How about I do this? Holy shit. Okay, now we're happy for real. Again, this is not perfect, but this is actually a retry system. Now, here's the problem. We are not surfacing this information to the core at all. Like, at all. And here there is a interesting design question of whether the core of the application needs to be aware of this. Yeah, it needs to know that we've been disconnected. We cannot just say that to the UI. That we have a way of communicating status updates to the UI without blocking the core to do so, which is occasionally useful, but it's a specialty thing. It's not something that you can do normally because normally state transitions, the core logic needs to be informed of big important state transitions. But there are some that are useful to surface on the UI, but that don't really require to lock the core. So that's what we're doing when we're trying to join a server for the first time. We give this information to the UI, but we don't tell about this. We don't tell anything. We don't block the core logic to send status updates about a connection in progress for the first time. So we keep the user up to date, but we don't really keep the user up to date like live. So we don't give live updates to the core application. That is, I think, a clever thing that we do. Maybe it's maybe it's an optimization that is not even really that important, but I like it. And I was wondering if it would apply also to this case, but it does not. So the next step is, okay, something went wrong. We need to tell somebody. And we need to understand what is a way of telling somebody. So what is a good way of telling somebody? So in here, we could send a message that says, whoops, we disconnected. So we could send a message. We could try to lock core and call a method on it, but is there a point? No, this can just be a message. So we can just say core dot q dot put one. And we try to put something in there. Command q. Okay, what's the network command? So we have host connected. Wait, we have host connected as a command? We have host sync as a command. These one are fine because these are network messages. This one surprises me. Host connected. Oh, I'm an idiot. That's the thing we do at the end. I think that more than host connected, I think we need to change that command to be something more. Maybe we can have host connected, host disconnected. But huh. Hmm. I think probably the next step is to see how the UI tackles this problem. So we kind of have the basics here. We're not going to be able to see anything unless we put some logging where we say we can do this. We can do log.debug. Disconnected sleeping. And then we do here we do reconnected. The problem is that I think we have some other problems with how synchronization is implemented because I think we're gonna fuck up the state that we track locally on reconnection because I think we're gonna resync and this is gonna duplicate the chat messages that we have in here. Let's see. Kill the server. Disconnected, sleeping, disconnected, sleeping, disconnected, sleeping. Restart the server. Connected, auth, got marker, authentication successfully. Notifying core we connected successfully. We did not fuck up the state. Interesting. But we are definitely leaking memory all over the place. The the hosting stuff doesn't account for previous state being there. That's for sure. That is for sure. Okay, so we have these basics, so we can now play with this in the UI side. So we were saying a bar, right? So that means that in views we have main host bar. Okay, let's look at main. What is main? Main is the main view, right? It's the one where we're looking at a server. So there's a host. So there's an active host. Show new chat bool equals false. Interesting. Pending new chat. Oh, this is about channel creation. We had commands for channel creation, but they've rotten. I don't think I made sure that they work still. So I will get back to that stuff. So what we have here is the host bar. So we need to take a look at what the host bar is. Then we have the channel list. Then we have the main view, which can be looking at a chat channel at home or at a voice channel, which we currently don't really do because that's a to do. And then we have screen share intent. Interesting. Screen share box draw. Okay, so the screen share stuff right now not important. So what is important here? The important stuff is host bar, I guess, is the list of hosts. It's just the list of pictures that are currently commented out. Yeah, for each host. Yeah, okay, not interesting. Host channel list. And then this is the active channel. So here's the thing. We basically need to have something that wraps all of these bad boys, because the idea is that it doesn't matter which one you're looking at, they all should have a bar up top. Actually, I think that the channel list should be in there as well. So it should be like this. This should be the scoping, basically. Whoops. They should be the scoping for this stuff. So when they draw, this one doesn't do anything. This one makes a box. Okay. Okay, so that means that we want a box in here, vertical alignment, where these guys go in, expand both, mean size content height 40. I don't know about that. Background true. I don't know. I guess. Fine. Okay. And then we need another box inside of here, which will make the top bar, but this one needs to be conditional. So for now, we can do if true. Direction horizontal. Expand horizontal. Is that a thing? Yeah. So, yep. And in here we have the disconnection stuff. Okay. Let's put a label in there that says disconnected. Okay, let's look at this work of beauty. Okay. We have it. I mean, it sucks, but we have it. Oh, we crashed? Index out of bounds? Return end of stream. Feel a buffer peak byte. Oh no. I don't think that should happen. I don't think the reader should panic out of bounds like this. Oh no, but it's on me. All right, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Index out of bounds. Index 11. Length 8. How does that work then? Oh, crap. So I knew that. I don't know if people remember, but when we were setting up this logic, we knew that this was wrong. And I was hoping that it wouldn't bite me so quickly. Buffer index had. You think so? I okay. You know what, people? Although I'll go with your suggestion. If it gets me out of this crash, I will be happy because I don't want to think about that right now. You think this is enough? Buffer index is not marked pub. Holy shit. It's not supposed to be used by me. Let's see. Buffer index of. Okay. So I guess we can do buffer index of. Wait a second. Head len is buffer.len minus head. Then if index is lower than head len, we say that it's head plus index. Otherwise, index minus head len. Uh, These didn't really help much, unfortunately. How do we solve this? Because right now the problem is that head. Is it head or is it like land it is? You know what? Let's print these values. So buffer length is 8. Head is 7. Len is 4. And we know that there's actually 4 messages. So yes. And head is 7. Does that mean that you can always subtract? So it's actually from len to head. At least in this case, because obviously we need the full logic to do the full thing, but I don't want to do that now. So let's say that it's from len until head. Let's see what happens now. Sorry. Sent out the request, crash again. Index of bound, index 11, length 8. Like this. See if this works. Also, why is this not retrying? Network error, end of stream, run host manager exited. It shouldn't exit that way though. It should still be retrying. So we're not retrying what we should be retrying, and here we still have a problem. Integer does not fit destination type. Oh, we're pulling up garbage. That is sucky. Okay, it's an STD DEQ. We really need the logic, huh? Okay, let's do it like this, maybe. Maybe we can copy this logic in here. Here, let's see how this goes. Index 7 is larger than index 6. So it is a wraparound. No, it is not a wraparound. I think that even if I swap them around, that won't work. That won't solve it, right? Man, I wish I was just less dumb when it comes to ring buffers. Yeah, no, you can't just slice it. Or rather, you can. No, you can. Let me think about it for a second. Actually, no, maybe you can't because you might have a hole in the middle. Yeah, you might need to make 2 slices, huh? I think we need like these two cases basically. I think it's something like so you take the length of the entire buffer, you subtract head. If head is before this index, yeah, man, I don't have the brain capacity right now for this. God damn it. Um, or maybe what we could do is we can send over two slices if we want. Like this is fine. This is allowed. Like messages one, messages two. We can do that if we want. Um, hmm, no, I don't think I need this. I think I need head, len, and buff len. I think that's what I need. Do, 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 do. We basically want if head plus len is lower than buff len, then I think our slice can be state.latest messages. You know what? It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that this deque doesn't simply have um, a method for grabbing two slices from it. That would be that would solve it. That would do the trick like immediately without us having to code it. So I think it's something like this: buffer from head to head plus len, which is this. And otherwise, Otherwise, the first slice is from 0 to... It's 0 to... Oh, also, you know what? I'm doing the thing where I'm causing probably overflows. I'm doing it in the dump way. There's probably smarter ways of expressing this math. Problem is that I'm not even able to get this math right in the first place. So not even in a position to try and aim for the smart way of doing it. In any case, this should be from 0 to basically the remainder, right? Which is head minus bufflen minus head minus len. No, that is guaranteed to be negative, right? Because head plus len in this case is greater than or equal bufflen. So this will give us a negative number. Fuck. That has the nice math. Yeah, but I'm not yet at a point where I can grok it. If you want to suggest the math, the right math, feel free. Like as in head plus len minus bufflen. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, this makes sense. Let's introduce the concept of messages 1 and messages 2. Unable to resolve complex value. Come on, man. Missing protocol sizes messages 1 in hosting. Fair. There you go. I think technically this can be both U32s at this point. No, actually, you know what? Well, let's leave this reasoning for another time. Okay, are we happy now? Or are we reading garbage again? Shit, we're not reading garbage. There we go. Let's go. We got the math right. Maybe. But oh Jesus. Yeah, that's actually a horizontal thing. Wait a second. Okay, back to the view stuff. This is vertical, and this must contain a horizontal panel. There we go. This thing is already messed up as is. There we go. Okay, this behavior seems good. Not sure about what's going on with this artifact here, but yeah, whatever. Why it should be fetches packages? I don't know. Then oh, we're not even setting the host name right. That's bad. Okay, let's make the disconnected stuff better. Also, we should look into animating it. So first of all, it needs the text to be centered. So how do you center text? We did it with welcome in empty, I think. Okay. Let's take a look. Okay, doesn't need to be title. Okay, so far so good. Next. We need to know about the state of this host. So we know the ID of the host, and in like some of these things, we do grab a reference to it, right? Because we need to use it. Yeah, there we go. We do this, which we do a bunch of times. Might as well do it only once in here, I guess. And or even higher up, but whatever. We don't know what's main. This is main. Okay, we got H. Um, oh wait, because of main state. Oh, this whole main state thing is not a thing anymore. This is now passed around as a variable core state. Oh, and we know what the active host is. Why? Wait, why do we know what the active host is? We pass down core state. Oh, look, we were already doing this here. I think this thing might have gone a little bit out of sync. Like the fact that this state is duplicated. It's because, well, I've never connected more than one host at a time because we don't even have the ability to go to the add host interface once we added one host currently. So it's just untested. That's fine, I guess, for now. So now we need to have host state information that tells us about stuff. So what is in a host for us as a client only thing? Client only has a bunch of information, has identity, host ID, user ID, username, password, callers, input buff, input LAN, active channel, connection, and connection status. That's what we need. We need to look at connection status, and we need to update connection status based on what's going on with the server. So, let's display this information, I guess. This has to be more than an enum. This needs to become a union. Because we're going to need to start adding, we're going to need to start giving payloads to some of these guys. And yeah. Okay, so go to the view, views main. Here if h dot client dot connection status is different than synced, we displayed. There we go. Okay, we're not updating that flag properly currently, so or never fucking mind. We are. We do set it to synced when we are connected, but we don't set it to something else when we lose the connection. So like if I restart now though, we're never gonna get to synced, which will show us that we are connecting. Okay. This is good. Um okay. Um I'm kind of curious about animations. Because I think it would be cool if we were to show it growing down. Anyway. Okay, we need to update this connection status when whenever something else happens. Um I think in here we can just make a new thing for it. Um More than host connected, I think we need to do something like update host status, new host status, host connection status. And we kinda would be cool if we could use this union in there. Use this union in there for real. Like currently host connected is used for modern host connected. No, actually, wait, never mind. Host connected is done every single time to pass a pointer to that thing. Why do we pass a pointer to a host connection? Oh, because that way we can enqueue stuff to that host starting from core. That makes sense. That means that we are currently just completely dropping everything in the queue once we disconnect, which might not be a good idea. Hmm. Working on inline completion. Oh, I'm back. I was doing a little peering on flow with Jan. Let's go. Wait, why are you working on inline completion and not Helix mode? I'm joking. Nice. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to your site when you get that stuff working. I'll be happy to try it out right away. So I think the connected needs to be like this. Then connected is host connection. Synced is nothing. This more than connected. Let me think about it for a second. Why is a host connection not just something that we put in there? Why is that not just host state? It could very well be just host state. But whatever. Let's leave it as that for now. Or, oh, do this maybe should be host state. Synced. Nothing to share when it's synced. Disconnected, reconnecting, deleting. I think for now, none of the others needs payloads. So let's do it this way. Host connected, host connection, update. And that contains this union here. Host client only connection status. Okay. This is not ideal, but this helps us make progress. This helps us make progress. Okay, so this is now correct. But if we close this, this is not gonna update because we need to do this. We need one of these guys up here in here. And this is where stuff gets funky because we don't know if we have a host ID in here right now. Damn. Because we might, depending on the host connect mode. If it's connect, we can. So we need somehow to have the host ID bubble up. In that case, that is diabolical. For now, we can do it this way. If mode connect We can do it this way. And this is disconnected. Oh, and we can't even do that. Yeah, it's catch return. Okay, so we should be able to kill the server and see this now show the disconnection. And it shows disconnected. Then we can reconnect. Back connected again. Disconnect again. Reconnect again. Oh, here's what happened. Did you see that the disconnect stuff didn't update? Also, look at this. This is not updating, but it does update when I move the mouse here. So here's what the problem is. Connection status updates do not trigger a UI refresh. And that is the problem with this. And that's why I have an abstraction for it. I think I'm starting to understand how to improve my abstraction. In this case, for now, we can just do this. Refresh. Beep, 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 beep. Disconnected. Connected. Disconnected. Connected. And now my mouse doesn't have to be here to for it to update. We have the basics of reconnection. Congrats to me. So we got some of that. What is the next step then now? Well, I know what the next step is. We need to make sure that reconnection, the next thing is now that reconnection needs to do Delta updates. Right now we are just leaking a bajillion allocations because we replaced the old state with the new state. But that is not how this stuff works. And to make this stuff work correctly, to do Delta updates correctly, we need to have correctly come to a conclusion with regards to how do we want to have monotonically increasing IDs. Yeah. Yeah. So how does this work? Yeah, I need to remember everything that I was thinking about when making my ID abstraction and decide if we want to commit to that or if we want to separate completely timestamps from IDs. Yep. We need to decide on that. Then we need Delta updates. Then maybe we need some caching on the client side. That might be not a bad idea. I mean, once we correctly Delta update on reconnection, basically shutting the application down and turning it back on is essentially the same thing. So yeah. Is there going to be like an edit for the last message, some other message that might affect your choice for IDs? Yes, I do want to have the ability to edit messages. No, that should not have an impact on IDs. Because or rather, you know what? I don't know for sure what is the considered the gold standard of how to implement message editing. But right now, I believe, again, I might be wrong. This might be, do not think of what I'm about to say as to be the guaranteed truth, because I don't know for sure, but I suspect the gold standard way of doing it is you edit the original message in your database and also append to your list of messages a special kind of message that expresses the intent of being an edit of an old message. So that way, the client knows that an old message has changed. So that if a client fetches everything anew, they get always the latest version. They don't get the old version. But also, if they're like just following along and just fetching new stuff, the new stuff will tell them about the old message, telling them that the old message needs to be invalidated because it has changed. And right now, there is a one-to-one correspondence between these messages and an entry that shows in here. But that's not how this stuff works normally. This is just a temporary thing because this is currently, everything is simplistic at this point. But in the future, you have these messages that are like maybe more akin to events than just messages, because a channel will have events in it that aren't messages. For example, reactions. And if you think about it, a reaction is something that modifies an earlier message because it changes the number of reactions that it received. So yeah. What next? I think that this might be it for my stream today. So I don't want to make a long stream. I wish I started a little bit earlier. Sorry, I started somewhat late. But we did pull off this feature. Like the next step for this feature is Delta updates, and Delta updates require reasoning about IDs. There is just no way around it. So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here. Thank you all for hanging out. Let me see if anybody's doing Zig. I'm gonna rate them in case. Otherwise, look at that Ethernet cable strategically being online. Good job, man. Also, hi YouTube. I don't know why. Oh no, you do show up. YouTube messages do show up in here. I don't know. I thought they wouldn't. Anyway, thank you, Candy Czar, and thank you for everybody who has hung out. And yeah, go say hi to Ethernet Cable and enjoy.